At the beginning of the movie, we see a girl named Lee working as a journalist. Lee was in a relationship with her boss at work, and when Lee discovers that her boss is in a relationship with someone else, she gets very sad after finding out about this matter and begins to feel very lonely. Therefore, Lee leaves New York and returns home. Upon her arrival there, her mother says to her, "My daughter, how did you come so suddenly?" Lee explains, "Mom, I was not comfortable there, and for this reason, I left New York and came here close to you." Lee's father is very happy to see her there. After that, we see a night scene where Lee, her father, and her mother were sitting and eating together. At that time, Lee's father asks her, "My daughter, will you not go to New York anymore?" Upon hearing that, Lee tells him, "Yes, Dad, now I will not go to New York because I was not comfortable in New York at all, and I missed you so much as well. I will stay here and do any simple job." Upon hearing this, Lee's father says to her, "Do what you see fit, my daughter." After that, we see the scene of the next morning where Lee meets her school friend, Todd, who works in an art gallery. After that, we see Lee meeting another female friend of hers. This friend of Lee's, Todd, and Lee were all very close friends together at school. Here, Lee discovers that this friend of hers has now become a school vice principal and is also married. But this friend of hers is very sad because she has not had any children yet. And her friend is very sad about this matter. Immediately after that, we see a night scene where we see these three together, and Lee's friend's husband had also come there. Lee's friend's husband asks the two of them, "What are you two doing?" Upon hearing that, Todd tells him, "I work in an art gallery." And at that moment, Lee tells him, "I am not doing anything currently, but in the future, I will work as a lifeguard at a swimming pool." After hearing Lee's words, her friends are very shocked. They wonder why Lee wants to leave a very good job in New York and work here as a lifeguard. Immediately after that, we see the scene of the next day where we see Lee going to work at the swimming pool. There, we see a young man named Jason, who is 19 years old. Jason's father works here in maintenance. For this reason, Jason comes here daily with his friends. Jason says to Lee, "If you face any problem here, tell me." After that, we see a scene several days later where we see Todd and Lee together coming out of a store. At that time, Jason is standing there with his friends. Jason says to the two of them, "If both of you want some weed, you can take it from me." Upon hearing that, Todd says, "Yes, I want weed. Where will you give it to me?" Upon hearing that, Jason says, "Okay, if you want weed, come to me at night, and I will give you the weed." Immediately after that, we see the night scene. Lee, Todd, and her friend go together by car to get the weed. But after arriving there, as soon as Lee's friend gets out of the car, she sees that these three kids are from her own school. Upon seeing that, she says to Lee, "Why didn't you tell me before that you came to get weed from the kids? I cannot take weed from them because I am their school's vice principal. This will leave a bad impression on them. They will think what kind of vice principal we have." Upon hearing that, Jason and his friend explain, "We will leave your school in a few days. So do not worry." After all these conversations, we see Todd, Lee, and Jason sitting together using drugs. On the other hand, we see Lee's friend explaining to Jason's friend, "You should not leave school. You are somewhat good at studying, and our school desperately needs a student like you. So leave drugs, return to join our school again, and do not go anywhere else." Jason's friend agrees to that. And there, on the other hand, we see Lee also explaining to Jason, "You too, do not leave school and continue your studies. Studying is very important for our future." Upon hearing that, Jason tells her, "I do not like this city at all. So I do not want to stay in this city. And this is the reason why I am leaving this school too, so that I can go to another town and live a good life." After that, we see Lee, who was meeting Jason daily, and the two began spending a lot of time together. As a result, Lee began to like Jason very much now. But Lee wanted to hide this matter. However, Jason had already felt that Lee started liking him. Because of all these things, feelings toward Lee began to arise in Jason's heart as well. One day, we see all of them, where the four were swimming in the pool. At that time, we see Lee, who was constantly looking at Jason, and after swimming, as soon as Lee goes to the room to change her clothes, Jason comes behind her and begins to gradually approach her, and after that, they have an intimate relationship together there. After all these things, a very deep relationship arises between them, and they begin spending a lot of time together. Gradually, Lee started spending a lot of time with Jason. For this reason, Lee was returning to her home late at night. As a result, she would remain asleep until very late in the morning. Because of all these matters, Lee's mother scolds her a lot and says to her, "You disappear all night and stay asleep all day." One day, while they were sleeping together, Jason tells Lee, "I will leave from here in a few days." Upon hearing that, Lee stops him and says, "Please do not go from here because I have started to love you very much." After all this talk, Lee becomes very sad because Lee did not want Jason to leave from here since Lee has come to love Jason very much now. Immediately after that, we see the scene of the next night where Jason, Lee, and all their friends had attended, and they were all standing in front of a campfire talking with each other. Where Jason tells everyone, "I am about to leave this city because I do not feel comfortable at all in this city." Upon hearing all this talk from Jason, Todd says to Jason, "I was thinking the same way before too, but gradually everything became normal, and I love staying here very much now." While saying all this talk, Todd goes to one of Jason's friends and begins to comfort him, and upon seeing that, we learn here that this friend of Jason's is gay, and because Todd was touching him, he did not like that at all, and for this reason, he runs to Jason and says, "We must leave from here tomorrow morning." After hearing all this talk from his friend, Jason tells him, "We cannot go to another country tomorrow because I do not have enough money yet to go somewhere else." Upon hearing all this talk from Jason, Jason's friend becomes very sad because Jason's friend was completely dependent on him since he had also left his home because of drugs, and he did not feel comfortable here at all now, which made Jason's friend very sad. And there, we see Lee arguing with her mother. Lee's mother says to her, "We spent all this money on you so that you would study well and get a good job, not so that you would work as a lifeguard. And you left a very good job in New York and came here like this in vain to work as a lifeguard." Because of all these matters, a big argument starts between them. As a result, Lee's mother kicks her out of the house. After that, we see Lee going to live in Jason's house. The next day, while Lee was sitting outside the swimming pool, she receives a message on her phone stating, "Because of your article, we are granting you a prize of $1,000. At that moment, Lee remembers that this article was written by her when she was living in New York. At that moment, Jason comes there. After that, Lee and Jason meet and begin kissing there. At that time, Todd comes from behind as well and sees them kissing together. But Todd does not say anything there. On the other hand, we see Lee's friend, whose husband was very angry with her because of her careless lifestyle. After her fight with her husband, Lee's friend comes to Todd, where Todd tells them that Lee is now in a relationship with Jason and Lee is now living in Jason's house. After hearing that, Lee's friend is very shocked and wonders how Lee's age is very old and Jason's age is very young, so how did they enter into a relationship together? For this reason, Lee's friend goes angrily to Lee, scolds her very angrily, and says, "How can you do that with a young man younger than you? If anyone knows about this matter, my reputation will be tarnished along with yours, and I am going now to tell your father about all these things." At that time, Jason comes from behind and says to Lee's friend, "If you do that, I will also go and tell the principal that you are buying weed from me." After hearing all this talk from Jason, Lee's friend gets a little scared and does not tell Lee's father anything. After that, we see Lee and Jason searching for their cat in the forest. Suddenly, while advancing in the forest, a very dangerous scene appears before Lee. Lee sees that Jason's friend who was gay is hanging from a gallows and has ended his life in a very hideous way. For this reason, Lee runs backward and prevents Jason from advancing forward so that Jason does not see his friend's corpse. At that moment, Jason sees his friend's corpse, and after seeing it, Jason gets very sad because his friend ended his life because of Jason, because if Jason had agreed to go to another city, perhaps he would not have had to see this day. For this reason, Jason begins to cry a lot and gets sad. Comforting him, Lee takes him from there, and after bringing him home, she explains to him, "Do not blame yourself so much. Yes, we know that this is your mistake, but you are not entirely responsible for this crime, so calm down." After that, we see Lee going to the mother of Jason's friend after gathering the courage and telling her everything. After knowing all these things, his mother begins to cry a lot, and comforting her, Lee explains to her and says, "Calm down, everything will be fine." After that, we see Lee not living in Jason's house, rather, Lee begins living in her own storage room, where she finds her missing cat there as well. On the other hand, we see Lee's friend meeting Jason's father and explaining to him, "Do not send Jason to another country, let him study here." Upon hearing that, Jason's father tells her, "I cannot do anything in this matter, this decision belongs entirely to Jason, and he will do what he wants to do. After that, we see Lee returning to live in her home again after apologizing to her mother. After that, we see Lee arriving at the funeral of Jason's friend, and after that, Lee meets Jason for the last time because Jason was about to leave this city now. Lee gives Jason $1,000 before his departure from there, which she had earned as a financial prize, and says to him, "Keep this money, it will benefit you in the future." After that, we see Jason going to another city, and we see Lee returning to New York again and starting her work as a journalist anew. With this movie ends.